Welcome to The Simple Actor.
So let's talk King Richard. I mean, let's do it.
Yeah.
How the role come to you? Um, and talk about what was it like when you were in those final audition rooms and you were like, oh my gosh, I got the part. Like every actor
Yeah,
wants to hear that story.
it's so funny because I think mine was just really chaotic. um, I had actually I self-taped for King Richard, and it was a very quick tape. I remember the process because I was like, oh, like I don't have time to do this self-tape. I was actually teaching at Columbia Law with BAC, and we were doing this huge 3-day workshop with like 150 students. Um, and I was like, I maybe have 20 minutes. And I didn't have a reader. And so a young woman from my church who ain't, and not even an artist, not even an actor, was like, I'll help you, because I had posted an Instagram story, came to my house, and we did it 1, 2, 3 takes, 3 scenes. And I just sent them. And I was like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna hear back. That's fine. Forgot about it. Because the tape, I kid you not, each scene was maybe 15 to 30 seconds long. So I was like, yeah, like whatever, it's fine, but who's not going to tape for a movie that says Will Smith in the breakdown? And so I was like, yeah, we'll see what happens. Didn't hear back for about 5 months, and on the last day of teaching another workshop at Columbia with BAC, I got a phone call from my agent saying, do you remember that tape you did for the movie King Richard with Will Smith a few months ago? And I was like, yes. He was like, can you be in LA for a chemistry read in like 48 hours? And I was like, huh? I was like, are they paying for me to go out there? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, where am I going to stay? He was like, don't worry, I will pick you up from the airport. I will feed you. I will house you. But I really think you should come in. And I was like, well, I'm not going to say no.
You're like, how do I do it though?
Yeah. And so I'm not even going to lie. I just called my dad. I was like, hello, sir. So, I have a callback for this Will Smith movie. And he immediately was like, yeah, we're going to get you over there. And we bought an incredibly expensive plane ticket.
Yes.
And
48 hours.
there.
Yes.
Yes, it was quite steep. um, but I landed, and my agent had made me like my own like little room in his living room. And my friend Jared, actually, who is
Love
another
Jared.
student,
Jared's
he
awesome.
picked me up the next day and kind of drove me around the city to kind of just show me around, and then gave me his car so I could get to my audition, or get to my callback. And I was like, thank you so much. And
That's
I went
community, man. That's
that's
community.
community. It really
Yeah.
is. That
Yeah.
the whole journey to, securing this role was such a testament to like the community and the people that you surround yourself with, like pouring into your community and also allowing yourself to be poured into by your community is so important. And I have a lot of pride, so I don't often like asking for help. But I knew I needed help getting through that. And the chemistry was really fun. I was so scared that I was going to get cut, because I was in one of the first groups to go, and essentially they just had, I want to say probably like, I don't know, maybe 19 different girls in the room. And I was like, oh my gosh, all of these girls, I think there were maybe 2 girls that were maybe my age or a little older. And I was like, these are children.
Children.
Children are in this room.
Yes.
And I'm reading for a child. How? And I was like, this is insane. This is absolute insanity. And then, some people that like some well-known people were in the room, and I was like, I'm not famous. um, and I remember just kind of, I have headphones on, and I was just listening to worship music. That was all I was doing. I was like, just focus on your thing, Mikayla, like you do the best you can. And I got into the room, and I was like, why don't I just be myself? I remember I used to really like entering into rooms in our audition class where I was like, yeah, I like to, you know, come into a room and make it my own and be really comfortable. I like to make myself comfortable in these spaces because I always felt so uncomfortable. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to make myself really comfortable and be a big sister and just play. And I did exactly that. And I think it was like, they kept cutting people and I was just like, okay, I'm next. I know I'm next. I know I'm next. And they kept switching our groups around. And 2 hours went by. And we were myself and Danielle and another young lady who unfortunately wasn't able to do the film with us. We were the last 3 left. And at the end, Mr. Ray, our director, was like, can I take a picture of you guys together? I was like, yeah, of course. I was like, can we, you know, you know? And we all like huddled together and we're like really close and stuff like that. And we walked out and the girls' moms were there and they were like, well, that seems pretty promising. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna
put all that on there because maybe it's not.
Because maybe it's not. And I went back to New York the next day. And like I said, I was workshopping a show off Broadway at the National Black Theater. And I had just taken a job in a psychiatric unit at New York Presbyterian. So I was working like full hospital shifts with patients, getting ready to tell my agents, you know, after this workshop, don't hit me with an audition for a few months.
Yeah.
Because I needed to make money. And my agent, once I got, not even like a day after I landed, was like, they need you back in LA. And I was like, no.
I can't pay to go back to LA.
I was like, if they're not flying me there or promising I got the job, I cannot do that. Can they Photoshop me into a picture? Like, and I was sitting in a corner in my room. They Skyped me in and the girls were like all squished together on a couch and we did the scenes and stuff again. And I was like, how can I make this big sister read from over here? And I would get the call about a week later that I got the job as I was going in for a 12-hour shift at the hospital.
Nice. Did you scream and they're like, okay, now patient?
Nope. I didn't scream at all. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then I had to go work the shift and I couldn't say anything to anyone.
That's when you know you've been on the acting trail for a minute, when like you get stuff and you're like, oh, okay. Because you put in all the work and all the time and all the like rejections. And then you're like, that's great. And I've got stuff to do still.
Exactly. I was like, and I was moving at the same time. Like I had to be in LA on February 6th. I think I got the job January 27th. And my roommate and our lease started on February 1st, but we couldn't move in until February 3rd. So
that's so New York.
It was just so chaotic. And I was just like, I'm just rolling with the punches at this point. And I had to work as a local hire in LA, which was absolutely insane. But I was like, I'm going with it. I'm just going to follow it and see where this leads me. And it was, I mean, definitely worth the experience because that's family for life. That's going to be family forever.
That's fantastic. And so let's talk quickly, but not quickly, because this is what we all want to hear. You meet Will Smith. The moment. Talk about it.
No, that's fair. It was Will Smith has always been my favorite actor. Like I'm talking since I was young tyke. I always used to say my dad looks like the Fresh Prince. And like get jiggy with it and switch. Like these were my songs. When I was 4, Bad Boys was my favorite movie, which like, why wasn't I watching Bad Boys when I was 4? And so getting the job, knowing that he was going to be playing my dad, I was just like, yo, I don't even know how I'm supposed to, like, how do I greet him? Mr. Will, like, sir, Mr. Willard Smith, like, hello. And it was funny because our first rehearsal was in his offices for Westbrook. And we were just kind of sitting and they were like, oh, like, you know, eat and stuff like that. And I felt like someone tapped me on the shoulder and go, boo. And I was like, what the? And I turned around and it was Will Smith. And he was like, hey, Mikayla. And I was just like, and he knows my name?
That's
And I
awesome.
was like, he was like, it's good to meet you, and like hugged me and kissed me on the forehead.
Oh.
And I was like, hi, Mr. Will, so good to, finally meet you. And I remember
Mm.
turning to Sanaya and Demi, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna throw up or burst into flames
This
right
is a
now.
moment. Oh.
I literally, like, I just turned and said it real quietly, very chilled, as I was like, not his first greeting to me being boo. Like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, and he's the coolest human being. He's so generous, he's so gracious. Um, Words cannot quantify what it meant to not only work with him and see somebody that is honestly not even in their prime yet. Like, it feels like he's still on his way.
Yeah.
And know that he's just a guy. He's just Mr. Will,
Yeah. And so many
and he's
people
so
who don't
funny.
know. Yeah, and so many people who don't know actors or haven't met quote unquote famous actors. And you've gotten a chance to work with one. We're just people.
Yeah, yeah. We my favorite thing that Jasmine Coles, one of my TAs in school, used to say was, actors poop and pee, so do famous people. And it's like, it's and that really is what it felt like, is he's just a dude. He loves pulling pranks. He's also so generous and giving. When he found out that shout out to Miss Aunjanue Ellis, who like is also the most incredible human being. Like, everybody that we worked with, it was just like, you guys are all so great as humans, but also fantastic actors. And that's just a part of their lives. It's not their identity. But when she found out I was working local, and I was about to be homeless essentially before we even started filming, she went to Mr. Will, and he immediately was like, housing covered, here's a rental car, like, do not worry, we got you, anything you need, let us know. And ended when we shut down, housed me until it was safe for me to go back to New York. And it was one of those things where I was like, it's really a testament to the people they are, the ways in which they create a culture of care in their because you can be up there big and famous, and you really don't have to, you're not obligated to give a crap about anybody. But Mr. Will treats everybody with such love, such respect, such adoration, and such curiosity to know like the human being. And acting is just like a fun thing he does on the side, which I think is really cool.
That's so beautiful. This is the last question I have before we have some questions. And thank you again for your time. I know this is, a good chat. How did you create Tunde so quickly for our actors out there? What did you do to say, I have this much time? Just found out I got the gig, got to deal with life. How did you jump into the role?
That's fair. Yeah, Tunde has such a incredible story. And like, one of my biggest fears coming into the project was, these are real people, right? Tunde tragically was murdered in the early 2000s. But her sisters are real living human beings that still have very cherished memories and also profound grief surrounding her. And so I thought the best way I could enter into that process gracefully was asking questions. One of the very first things Mr. Ray had us do was sit down with Isha Price and Lindrea Price. And Lindrea helped us with our costumes because she wanted to make sure, we was dressing like they was dressing. And I was like, what did Tunde like to wear? Those are the costume pieces I'm gonna like the most, is like, was she super fashionable? Yeah. Okay, cool. I better have the flyest outfits of all my sisters. And just being able to ask questions. We sat down for 2 hours, I think, with them initially. And I have a notebook that's like 20 some odd pages of nothing but notes. Like, what did she like to read? Her favorite book was The Good Earth. I went to the producers. I was like, I would like a copy of The Good Earth. I think Junie B. Jones, well as the Chronicles of Narnia, like all of her favorite books they got for us so that we could actually read them. And I was like, what's her favorite class? AP Bio? Fabulous. I took IB Bio, just about the same thing. Let me get my mom to send me my old biology notes. and start looking at that. How did she stand? Was she bow-legged? You know, asking all of those questions so that I wasn't shooting darts in the dark at like a caricature of the idea of a person, but rather trying to honor the real lived human being that was. And Isha and Lindrea honestly were so giving. And same for Venus and Serena, where they just let us ask them questions. And whenever I had a question on set, I just went up right to Isha and I was like, would Tanti say something smart here? Like, I feel like she would say something. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, girl, just start talking. And it was really cool to have a space where we could kind of do that. Because Mr. Will even came up to me one day and was just like, if you feel like you're supposed to speak, like just start improvising. And I was like, huh?
Right. And they don't give a lot of, honestly, newer actors that freedom. Like that is
Yeah,
not normal at
that's
all. They're like, stick to the
not.
script.
Stick to
If
the
you're not
script.
Will Smith, they're like, if you're not Will, say what was written for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why like we all read so much like a family, is because so much of that was play.
Yes.
You know, there was such a culture of just like trying things, or just like, you know, talking out of turn if it felt right. You know, a lot of my lines in King Richard were improv.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because that's the environment that we created, and that curiosity was so welcomed by the director, by Mr. Will, and by you know, the family, because Isha was on set with us nearly every single day.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm just going to say this. I adore you. I'm so glad to have known you before now and to continue to watch you grow. And thank you for giving my daughter, similar to what was said in the movie, the moment where she was like, who are these two? I would want to try that. I would want to play tennis.
Yeah.
I could do that. And
Yeah.
she was like so proud to watch what was happening on screen. And thank you for being a part of that.
Absolutely.
I know there was a lot of work before that made that happen. So thank you. So
I've never gotten a question like that. That's so cool. All of the Harry Potters, of course. You know, I would say that, and then there's this really unknown book called Fast Friends that I remember I got on a whim at the Limited 2 store when it still existed. That was just about 4 friends that I think got stuck in an elevator, or maybe like got lost in a mall together, and they were all, you know, young teenagers. And I just always wanted a friendship group like that. And so I thought that was really, that book, I actually still have a copy of it. My mom keeps that for me. And I have 2 copies of every single Harry Potter book. And I've read them all, of course, more than one time. So yeah, I would say Harry Potter for sure, and Fast Friends. A lot. Church of Bountiful was my favorite thing that I ever did at VCU, and I was very, very adamant about it being the last thing I would do for the university formally. So it means a lot to know that role impacted you that way, because it meant a lot to me to play Thelma. It really did. And there was a lot of kind of strife, and I think that I was wrestling with what it means to, you know, be a young Black woman, knowing that our only opportunity to have access to like being a lead was if we told a white story with Black bodies. And so that show still, like to this day, is so near and dear to my heart, just because I feel like I grew so much and I learned so much. And like Shantae said, I had to be open in that time. So I think approaching Thelma, I just wanted to kind of be a kid. She was a very young woman, and she was also a very young married woman in the South, in the Jim Crow South. And so I was like, if Thelma truly was a Black woman in this time, you know, what is it to live a life that is a bit privileged, and a little more hopeful, and kind of through some rose-colored glasses? What is it to not see like all of the pain and the discrimination around you all the time, because you actually grew up in a, you know, a loving environment, a safe environment. And, you know, you have a husband that you're traveling to see, you know, that you love so much. And so, yeah, I just kind of wanted her to be a young girl in a world that didn't often allow young Black women to be young girls.
Unencumbered.
Yeah. So, yeah, just like a unencumbered human being. And I think that's what made her so fun, because she was a little flighty. And also she had like a profound depth, excuse me, that I don't think she really knew or really understood. And I thought that was communicated beautifully in Horton Foote's text. And so I was just like, how can I allow those layers to be? And the best way I knew how was through like the eyes of a child. Because there was a point in time where I was unencumbered for a very long time. And that curiosity is beautiful. And so I just kind of like with King Richard was like, can I just be a kid? Even though she fully, you know, she's a fully grown woman. And I thought that allowed the relationship with Pam's character to really blossom, because there's such an openness in trying to get to know this, you know, this older woman on a bus ride where their paths just so happened to cross and likely would never cross again. Absolutely. Thank you for asking this question, because I really like to talk about it.
Okay, cool.
Especially for you know, other actors who don't necessarily feel comfortable in audition rooms. I'm going to be completely honest. My love of entering a room does come from a place of trauma. I had an instructor when I was in school who essentially, in front of all of my classmates, forced me to exit and re-enter a room until I had a smile on my face, and until she felt I had a mood that was presentable to my classmates.
Wow.
And this was after a night of finding out my mother had just had another heart attack. And so I wasn't I wasn't having a bad morning or anything. I just didn't really want to have a smile on my face. But because of that, I had to become really, really good at masking and coming into a room, to the point where I think my senior year of college, I used to like be an example for students on like how to enter a room. And what I decided to do, I thought was a little revolutionary, was in my auditions, I would tie my hair up when I come into a room to kind of give my body some motion, and not feel so stiff. Because I always thought, I'll speak from a place of my own experience, you're supposed to come into the room, hands by your side. Hello, my name is Mikayla Bartholomew, and today I will be performing this. And that's not who I am. You know, I'm a hey y'all kind of girl. I'm a how you doing, and I'll wait for the answer kind of girl. So I was like, how can I make more room for that person to kind of exist? And it always started with me putting my hair back in a ponytail, because that was kind of my like, okay, great, I'm coming into this room and now this is a work session. It's not necessarily an audition, but this is, or I know it's an audition, but it's also my rehearsal room. This is an opportunity for me to play and create with you guys right now. And I know I do that well when my hair is out of my face. And so that takes up not a significant portion of time, but enough time where I can kind of like walk around, look at the room, set my things down, you know, hey, how y'all doing? It's good to see y'all. You know, I hope you've been staying warm today. Like, how you feeling? Yes. Okay. I'm excited to work. Is there any particular piece you would like me to start with? Okay, fabulous. And it's okay if I use the room, like just making myself feel like I'm in a rehearsal space, because the audition is the first rehearsal, I think, because it's going to color your relationship when you actually, you know, when you get the job, how you enter into the space. And I do that on my self-tapes. I know people tell me all the time, they're like, you don't have to say like, you know, how you doing? And like, thank you so much for watching this. And I was like, yeah, but that's who I am. You know, I'm hey y'all, what's good? My name is Mikayla Bartholomew kind of person, not Mikayla Bartholomew, 5'8". I'm based in New York City. I like to say, stay lifted and well, guys. I hope you guys are doing okay, because there's someone on the other side of the table or the tape or the computer screen that's trying to engage with you. And so why not actually take the opportunity to engage? So that's kind of how I started making myself comfortable in rooms, just trying to give myself more permission to take up space in a world where I've often made myself a little smaller.
That makes so much sense. So much sense. Thank you so much for like unpacking that.
Of course.
Because I think, you know, in my history, there has been this, oh, I have to hurry up. There, you know, time is money and they're in a hurry and I don't want to take up too much time. And this is like the complete opposite of that, which is just more being present and taking your time.
Yeah.
So that you are relaxed and then they are relaxed, can relax as well. That's excellent. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. And I will say it's not a perfect science because sometimes I betray myself and I'm like, no, I gotta go fast. Like I have to do it this way. But being able to have that idea of making yourself comfortable, like I'm like, okay, so I didn't necessarily do it that time. Maybe I can do it again next time. It's like a nice, fun little revolution within yourself to take up more space.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Sophia. And Mikayla, I'm going to say thank you. One, thank you for sharing that personal story, because I'm sure you're not alone with students who've had crazy experiences and weird experiences with professors and teachers who aren't doing what they need to.
Right.
And yeah, carrying that, but then kind of shifting that, taking that and reclaiming that for yourself. That's amazing. I want to say thank you for everything, sharing your journey, sharing some laughs, sharing all the good work that you're doing. And I just want to say we're cheering you on from out here. Let us know what you need. We're here. We know the real. And for all of you guys out there who are watching and listening, we're all in this together. We really are. We're on the journey together. And I appreciate you sharing your story. So some people out there probably feel a little less alone, hopefully by hearing it. Thank you.
Thank you.